Hi, Adam Bierman. It's December 2017, the 22nd. This will air probably in a month or so. We have back is Jody Wood.
Yes.
I've been gone again.
I got in a couple of months.
And now you threatened me about Lauren. You said don't try to get Lauren, the other co-host. Try to start some drama between you two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're trying to cook up. Lauren and I.
I'm not trying to cook up anything. Well, you haven't been together on the show for a long time.
Well, I've been busy. He's busy. You know, people do things.
Well, you're the son who got married.
I had a son that got married and
had a paying job.
Yes, yes.
That
working.
doesn't that kind of pale
Still
compared
kind of work
to
as an
this?
actor and all. Yeah, definitely. Not everything does. This is my life now.
You got an indie role though. Is that with the Spirit Conference?
Yes, yes. We're doing an independent film called The Last Date. I'm playing an aging mobster who's going back to this other young girl that he was with at one point in his life, and it's kind
does it give you ideas? I'm not going that way. I know his wife. We went to high school together.
Really?
And stuff.
My wife and I. They have the same birthday too.
So
she still gets excited about.
Okay, yeah, we have the same birthday. But anyway, the show. We'll get to your independent film maybe in our conversation with our guests. But the show is growing, thriving. Facebook Live. Lauren Lepre, Jody have brought in interesting guests and more viewers, and maybe somehow I'll get out of the small confines of this cable access.
Yeah, maybe, but so everything needs a chance to build and grow.
I have the quiet life of desperation. And that leads into, we have these amazing guests today. We have William or Bill Agress.
Agress.
Long like acorn.
Agress.
And his son,
Andrew
Agress. And why?
Agress. We'll get it one day.
Why do we have you here? Shall I give my intro or do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I do a lot of things, although I'd like to hear more about what my son does because I'm very proud of him. But I'm a reenactor. I reenact primarily Revolutionary War characters. Colonel Edward Hand is who I'm known for in Lawrenceville. I also reenact George Washington every July 4th at the Morvan Museum. And about 10 years ago, I was asked to do Albert Einstein. I am now the official Albert Einstein for Pi Day Princeton.
Right.
That's fun.
Also, he's done reenactments from everything from nursery schools to nursing homes and everything in between. You've been in plays and musicals at the Bucks County Playhouse, Trenton War Memorial, the new McCarter Theater. You've also appeared on The Amazing Race TV and done other TV commercials and stuff and paid. You're also a tireless advocate for the importance of New Jersey's role in the American Revolution, and you're an esteemed historian in your own right.
I guess. But what people need to know is more battles of the Revolution took place in New Jersey than in any of the 13 original colony states.
Right.
And we don't get the recognition we're due.
Really? Even though we have Trenton and Princeton and
Monmouth? Well, when you enter the state, there's a big sign that says, "Welcome to New Jersey." It's a postage stamp. Who are we trying to attract? Philatelists? I think it should have Washington Crossing.
Yes, you're right. Right. And we'll get back to more of that. Then we have your progeny. That's my new word, SAT word. Andrew Agress.
That is me.
Agress.
It was close that time, so I didn't correct you. But
well-spoken English is a bourgeois affectation. It's my show anyway. But anyway, you went to Brandeis.
Yep. Just graduated in this past spring.
You're not a communist or anything.
Congratulations.
Nope.
Summa cum laude with high honors.
I knew that was coming.
God, this is a proud father. You've won awards at Brandeis. What was the name of the award?
So I won in the spring. I won the Harold and Mimi Steinberg Award for Best Original Play. My senior thesis was a sketch comedy show called Taking Ages. It was a history-based sketch comedy show. So my dad came. He enjoyed it.
Based on those type of characters that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Washington crossing the Delaware was a big part of it. Yeah.
Available on YouTube.
Yes, it actually is. I just put it up yesterday, so it is now available on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you find it?
You just Google Taking Ages. That's the name of the show. You can put in Brandeis Festival and Brandeis Thesis Festival, and yeah, it'll come up. And yeah.
Not only did he write it, but he's in the opening and closing scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it, so I didn't want to put myself in too much of it. So I'm in the beginning and the end, so I could go out, do my thing, go back, watch it, and then come out at the end.
A little Alfred Hitchcock thing going on.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So it was like a cameo, and the cast was great, and I wanted to get people to be in it to see how they would interpret things. But yeah, they had a lot of fun with it, and some of it I wrote most of it before we started rehearsal. But then once rehearsal started, my friend Raphael Stigliano, who was also my suite mate at the time, he directed it. And it was funny, we had 2 rooms next to each other. We shared a vent, and we would whisper through the vent notes and things, and talk about like, oh, this is directed, yeah. And
That's great.
he did a great job. And so I wrote most of it. Then during rehearsals, I'd sit in on them and write more things, just seeing the actors improvise and how they worked with each other, which was a lot of fun. So like the roles were written for the actors, and I'd tweak things. But I said, oh, this person's really good at physical humor. I could add in more of that.
So you had the luxury of time, and they could evolve. The characters could evolve and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have them evolve through improvisation? Did
Yeah.
you do a lot of improv work?
What we did, the show was totally scripted because it was sketch. But we
Right.
started each rehearsal with an improv workshop,
Right.
and we just improvised scenes. And they wouldn't necessarily go towards the show,
Right.
but it was just to get people in that mindset.
Get them warmed up.
Yeah, get them warmed up.
yeah.
And if during rehearsal, like something came to them, I'd say if if you're in character and just a line that's not in the script just comes to you, just say it.
Go for
And
it.
if it's great, I'll put it in. And there were a couple lines that were just spur of the moment things that I thought were so funny that I added to the script.
Excellent. That's great.
And now we can chart your very impressive young life. Then you're a sketch writer, actor, improv. Then you went out to Chicago and you were accepted to the Second City Improv School.
So it's an interesting order to that. I did the comedy studies program at Second City my junior year at Brandeis. I studied abroad in the land of Chicago. It was fun because when I returned, I had to fill out a questionnaire that was, how accepting were they of American culture. I gave them a 9 out of 10. And, so that was my away from campus adventure. But I did that for a semester. And then I recently moved back to Chicago. I love the city. So I moved back in September and took classes at the Annoyance Theater. I'm going to resume those in next month.
And you were an intern.
Yeah, at the Windy City Playhouse.
Wow. You get to meet people that way too.
Yeah.
And stuff. Be a sycophant. That's my other new word. Sycophant? Is that the word? When you kiss someone's butt? Sycophant.
Ass kisser.
Okay, that too. And stuff.
Yeah, that one
Yeah,
works
that
too.
works for me.
But yeah, it was great. A lot of the people I met people through the Annoyance classes because they're all improv people, and that was a lot of fun.
Right. So now we have the basis. Now we can get more into depth. Who wants to go first? You can. Do you want to do the interview about
Oh, I'd love to hear more about how you got started doing this
develop
sort of thing.
characters
Yeah.
and everything?
The
The
reenactment.
reenacting,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, well, so when I moved to Lawrenceville, I grew up in Hamilton. By the way, I have to throw this in. My debate partner was Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Right.
We're not
Hamilton.
close, but it was nice that he was my debate
Yeah,
partner.
that's pretty
He-
cool.
He did well.
Yeah.
And so
Did you go to Steiner? Was Steiner
Yes, I did. I
right
went to
that time?
Steiner.
Right.
And so when I got to Lawrenceville, I met the municipal historian, a guy named Bob Immordino, who died a couple of years ago. And he knew of my interest in theater and history, and he has established the Colonel Hand Historic March. But there'd never been an actual Colonel Hand. And he said, Bill, you can be Colonel Hand.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been Colonel Hand longer than Colonel Hand was Colonel Hand. And so every year, usually the first Saturday in January, we have this march. We fire off a cannon at the Shabakunk Creek, which is next to Notre Dame High School.
Mhm.
And then we all go and eat what the reenactors call tricorn pastries, but a lot of people know them better as Humentaschen.
Is that some kind of Germanic Hessian?
It's a Yiddish Purim pastry that is shaped like a tricorn hat. And by the way, you can put any fruit filling you want, but because of George Washington, we only fill them with cherry.
I like it.
Which is a myth, right? The whole cherry tree thing.
Yes, well,
They don't
actually, a lot of George Washington's life was a big myth.
have- Yeah.
He never had wooden teeth.
He had bad teeth, though.
He had
like
terrible
pain,
teeth. He
he had
lost
bad
his teeth, but
Right.
they weren't wood.
Right, right.
If
Yeah.
you had wooden teeth, you'd get splinters.
Of course. You'd be swallowing them.
Yes,
It'd be just
yes.
horrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he never chopped down a cherry tree.
Yeah.
Right.
And he never threw $1 across the Potomac.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to the Potomac, you
Who
can't
made all
throw
this stuff
anything.
up? Why would do you know?
Well, there were people, but he was so deified that after he died, there was a guy named Parson Weems.
Right. Parson
who
Weems
wrote these
Yeah, right.
books that said a lot of things about him that
So
weren't really
long
true.
before Camelot, PR was being done.
Yes.
Hmm.
I remember William Dawes, I think, actually made the Midnight Ride, but Paul Revere's name fit better in the poem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we met descendants of William Dawes. This is My
Mhm.
Children, You Should Hear the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. It's actually a man named William Dawes.
So it wasn't
Yes.
Paul Revere.
No, he got caught earlier that night and everything.
Yes. But he
And
was
so-
there too.
He was
He
there.
rode, just not for very long.
Right. You're
Yes.
historic. You're into history too, so we're not.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I took a class at Brandeis called the Battles of Boston, so we learned all about that.
Wow, from
Yes.
Lexington on up. Okay, here's my question. You can all, if you want to, cross-pollinate. How do you develop characters when you want to be Washington or your next character? What kind of layers do you approach to a character development? I know it's kind of different, I guess, improv and maybe
Yes.
not Washington.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go
You
first?
go first.
Okay, so in the case of Washington, obviously all you have are portraits, but I'm not about to affect whatever accent he may have had because we don't really know what it was. In the case of Einstein, what I actually did was I watched a number of tapes going back, films of Einstein, and then I realized if I tried to sound just like him, no one would understand a word I said.
Right.
His German accent was that thick.
Hmm.
So I'm
Really?
basically,
Really?
so I'm basically doing Dr. Ruth as a man, and that's how I developed that. And then also in the case of Einstein, I have a wonderful book of all of his quotations because he was a very funny guy.
Mhm.
And when I am reenacting Einstein, I throw in a lot of the quotations.
Like,
People will also, well, for example, when he arrived in Princeton, the first thing he did was he went to the 5 and 10 and bought a comb. And then he went to the Baltimore, which was an ice cream shop and restaurant on Nassau Street. And he saw a graduate student and he said, I want that. And it was an ice cream cone, vanilla with chocolate, as he would have said, sprinkles.
Sprinkled.
Yes, sprinkles.
Oh, I thought you said he wanted a student. Anyway.
And then someone once said, what do you call your hairstyle? And he said, negligence.
So that loosens up. It's funny.
Yes.
It loosens other people up.
Yes.
And you have to adapt it to an audience, though. You couldn't really. You wouldn't want to do a complete copy of Einstein because it wouldn't have worked.
No,
Well, you
Accent, everything.
no, but I have to be entertaining.
Right.
But I want to give them as much accurate information as possible.
So you know your audience. You try to entertain and inform in a short period of time you're with them. That makes sense.
Yes.
What is a typical? What do you do it for? Like, who's your audience? Or
It's a wide range. I do a lot of libraries.
Mhm.
I do a lot of senior citizens groups. And I was just asked to go to a theater in northeastern Pennsylvania. Every year they bring in several reenactors. I think it's funny because I'm following Ulysses S. Grant.
Huh.
They've already had a George Washington,
Huh.
but they're bringing me in. And I have done schools, anything from 3 and 4 year olds, where I talk mostly about his pets.
Right. Do
because
they
that's
ask
something they
questions? The
can-
audience asks
Yeah,
questions.
well,
or you have
I'll
it
say
rehearsed?
to them, I'll say, for example, now he lived in Princeton. Of course, I'll say this is Einstein.
Right.
What do you think he called his cat? And some kid will say, Princeton. And I'll say, but what does Princeton know? What's their mascot?
Yeah.
The cat's name, of course, was
Tiger.
Tiger.
Mhm.
Tiger.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you feel like you're carrying on a legacy, though? Do you feel like attached? I mean, method acting. Do you feel Einstein in your bones, or you feel like you're responsible to carry on his legacy now?
Sometimes I do, and a lot of what he said was very important. He was not a religious Jew, but he felt very Jewish. And remember, in his time, there were people in Germany who tried to get away from it because of the Nazis, or
Yeah.
the Nazis didn't let them. And he once said, "A snail can abandon his shell; he still remains a snail."
He was in favor of. Was he in favor of the creation of Israel, though? He was offered to be president.
Initially not, and then he came around and they offered him the presidency.
They did offer him the
And the
presidency.
prime minister, Ben Gurion, when he was notified that Einstein refused to take it, supposedly said, "Thank God."
Yeah, he was such a pacifist, and J. Edgar Hoover didn't like him at all. He wasn't really let with the nuclear bomb,
Yes.
and he was not involved in that at all. He
No.
wasn't trusted. He couldn't get security clearance.
Yeah. But the J. Edgar Hoover thing was ridiculous. I mean, he thought that Einstein couldn't be trusted because he was a German. The Germans wanted to kill Einstein. It's one of the reasons he came to America.
I feel bad that we're leaving you out, though.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so you
Very
asked the question about
Yeah.
creating characters. So for me, So I do sketch comedy and acting and
For those who don't
improv.
know, what's the difference between what's sketch comedy and just regular writing? Or what
Yeah,
is it?
well, the big thing is a lot of people think that sketch comedy and improvised comedy are the same. And really, they're very different.
I did.
Yeah, so that's the thing is sketch comedy. It's doing is
anything?
very
No.
similar to just regular acting. Sketch comedy, it's scripted. You do short vignettes, short scenes, but you have a script. You're playing a specific character. You go by the script. Improv though is all made up on the spot, and so SNL is scripted. That's sketch comedy. Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's all improvised. And for me, if I'm doing regular acting or sketch comedy, I'll create a character. I'll look at the script. What kind of character is there, and I'll add my own twist to it. For sketch comedy, you want it to be funny, so you think of like, okay, this is a funny character. Maybe it's written a funny way. How can I bring that out? How can I showcase that best? With improv, it's very different in that you're just coming up with the character yourself. And in the class I just took at the Annoyance in Chicago, the class I took was actually totally on starting a scene. And
Starting
they-
seems important, right? Because you have to grab people's attention.
Right
yeah,
away.
Right away.
and it's interesting because I thought, how can we have a whole class, several months long on just starting a scene? And yeah, we really could, because you could start off with an emotion, you could start off with some kind of physicality, you could start off with an
A line.
object. Yeah,
Mhm.
so like something clever, interesting premise, interesting thing of like the world you're in. You can be playing, someone that you know or someone that you've seen, something like that. So there are a lot of things that can inspire you. So they say to take, one or two things like an emotion and a physicality, and just kind of bring that out.
Who does that really well? Just for our audience, could you give a person today you think in sketch who does that well? With the material they're
It'll
giving?
be in. So actually, I mentioned Whose Line Is It Anyway, and the people in that show.
Groucho Marx?
That is
No.
it's
Groucho Marx.
no.
No,
No,
that's
Whose Line Is It
not-
Anyway? Drew Carey's a host. And
Yeah,
Oh,
Drew,
I've
yeah.
been watching.
Rhinestone, Wayne
I'm a
Brady.
kid. Wayne Brady. Yeah,
Those
but
guys,
I'm
yeah.
busy now. I'm
Great
busy.
show.
I haven't watched those shows.
Yeah, it was on I think in the '90s, but they brought it back,
Mm.
and now they're touring.
Yeah.
I saw them over
Colin
the summer.
Mockery was here in Princeton about 2
Oh,
years
really?
ago. Yeah,
Oh.
with his
Yeah.
partner. It's very good.
Yeah, because they've been still doing it, just going around
Yeah.
different places.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Those guys are
Colin,
awesome.
yeah.
Ryan Stiles. I mean,
Oh yeah.
But what
all
makes
of them
them
are
good though?
great.
They're quick. They enunciate. They
Yeah.
motion.
So what they do is very, very quickly they'll have a full character, and another one is voice. For example, will come out with a certain voice,
Right.
and they'll do a great job of that. They're also
He's a
great
real actor.
at,
He knows this stuff.
Andrew
Yeah.
has a friend. Do you want to do him or you don't want to do him?
Do him.
Oh,
This is TV.
yeah.
You have to do
I
it.
have a friend from high school. We've been friends for about almost 8 years.
John Stewart.
And
No, he's much older.
and my friend Jimmy, and he has a very specific sort of cadence to how he talks. And after hanging out with him enough, I got to be able to do his voice. And he kind of talks like this, and he wait, what was okay, I don't know. We recently backpacked through Europe together, and there was what
That draws me in a lot.
one thing where every now and then he was always spilling coins on the ground. Going back to me, it was funny. He's very very much a character. And
Does
just
he
spending
realize
time with
it?
him-
Does he realize it?
Oh yeah, I mean I've told him I said Jimmy, you're a character, and because we're going across
That's where you
Europe,
get your characters from.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean,
and
right
he-
here, right in front of us.
Andrew's friends
Um,
at Brandeis, when they met Jimmy,
Yeah,
they thought that he wouldn't sound like Andrew's
yeah. They
impression.
said
It had to be exaggerated, right?
Yeah,
To
they
be
said,
real.
"Oh, I don't know if he, would he sound like that?" And they met him, and they said, first thing is, you nailed him."
Mhm.
And actually, in my improv class, at one point they said, "Come out with a character based on someone you know," and the first person who came to mind was Jimmy. Yeah.
I got a
And-
lead to play imitating my brother-in-law.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was your model.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Stuff like that. They're out there for you.
Yes.
Right?
Like, this old timer I used to meet at the shopping center. He'd always go, straight off like Archie Bunker. You know what I mean, kid? You know what I mean, kid? Yeah, they keep on saying that. And that would get redder and redder when they got mad and he'd go like that and everything.
Yeah, I used to love just sitting and watching people.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, actors, to go to, listen to people at diners, go to the Port Authority. I mean, just sit there and watch and observe people. They're out there for us.
Yeah, in high school, I had one assignment that was just to go into the student center, sit down, pick someone,
And just,
watch them
yeah, go ahead.
for
Awesome.
30
Great.
minutes, and then go into class and act like that person. And it's funny, we had it so if people could guess, who we were being, and some people were like, oh, that's this student, that's that student.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting if you watch people enough, or if you spend enough time with someone, you get their, their tics, their
Yeah.
way of talking.
You can incorporate it into your act. Well, Johnny
yeah.
Depp famously looked at Keith Richards when he played Pirates of the Caribbean, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just, when you watch them and you get them, and people laugh because they've seen that.
Yeah.
They know that type of person.
Andrew was Jack Sparrow for Halloween.
Oh, really? I could believe it.
Yes. After being Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a great character.
next generic question. How do you know when you're successful or when you're not, and are you constantly tweaking your act, so to speak? Very generic question because I know you're two different, even though you're both
Why
performers.
don't you start?
Yeah. So for me, it's an interesting thing that, with acting, you have, rehearsal. And people say it's interesting in the shows that people say, especially with comedy, don't rehearse too much. Make sure you rehearse improv you don't rehearse, but with sketch comedy or a comedic play, rehearse not too much because you don't want to get to the point where it's not funny anymore.
Right.
So one big thing is just being able to go through and find ways to make things funny again, and not like huge, drastic changes. It's not like in the last week of rehearsal you say, okay, you know what, I'm not doing a character this way, I'm doing it this way. It's no, you might find like a line that you'll say differently, or
So
an
subtle.
added thing. And sometimes it's interesting, you'll just kind of and people do. It's one that people even on SNL will just sometimes say a line slightly differently, or they'll like yell it or something. And sometimes the people on stage will actually, you'll see them live on TV start laughing.
Yeah, sure.
Because one of their performers with them did something they didn't expect.
Did you ever see Tim Conway and Harvey Korman stuff back in
No.
the Carol Burnett show?
Yeah.
Watch some of that
Yeah,
stuff.
they were very
Brilliant.
funny. And some people got
Brilliant.
improvised.
It was improvised, a lot of that stuff, and Harvey Korman would really have a hard time. Anyway, it's
And there's nothing wrong with doing a little imitation. For example, years ago, I was in the play The Man Who Came to Dinner.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did you play Whiteside?
No, I played the doctor.
Okay.
And then after that, I was in Tea House of the August Moon.
Oh,
and
wow.
I played the psychiatrist.
Was that the Brando role? Did Brando?
I wasn't, yeah, Brando played Sakini,
Okay,
but my role was the psychiatrist. And I
Ate a lot
saw
of things.
him as Paul Lind.
Oh, okay.
I remember Paul Lynch
and-
from Hollywood
absolutely.
Squares.
And he loved vegetables.
Right.
So it was like corn,
Perfect. Yeah.
corn, ponderosa Erliana.
Ah.
And you do that and it helped the character.
Definitely. I did a play called Absurd Person Singular, and I based the character on John Cleese,
Oh, sure.
who was an idol of mine. So anyway.
And what about your
Absolutely, there's
Einstein
nothing-
character? Again, I guess you have to just adopt them for different audiences too and everything.
Well, in Einstein, I'm
And
trying
Washington.
to do his mannerisms, his voice to an extent that I can, and he was very quirky. For example, he never wore socks. He said socks kept him from concentrating,
Wow.
and also he was allergic to, as he would have said, to wool. So
Right.
he liked cotton sweatshirts.
Hmm.
But as far as his mannerisms, he had like a barking seal-like laugh when he thought something was funny.
Could you do that?
And I don't usually do that very much.
Oh.
And he had a very wry sense of humor. One of my favorite quick Einstein stories is his stepdaughter said, "There's a sheepdog down the street. It has so much fur, I can't tell its head from its tail." And Einstein said, "As long as he knows."
And that's timing and acting too,
Yes.
as long as you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, subtle and everything.
Yes.
And that's another thing you were talking about before about your sketches and things like that, sketch comedy, and to not rehearse it too much. That's definitely, and you want to keep it fresh, and you're always finding new ways to deliver that line. It's
Oh, yeah.
inspiring to, to keep it fresh like that, and always finding new things.
Yeah, exactly.
And
This
I
comes
think
from
it's great that you're doing this.
this.
man.
These questions come from the street of Princeton. Next generic question: how do you handle, even more for you, because you're trying to make a livelihood? I guess, well, you retired early and you're doing this full time, and
I
you're teaching-
retired really first, it's no secret, to raise
raise your
Andrew.
kids and everything. But how do you basically, how do you deal with failure? Not even failure, but when things go rough, how do you keep motivation How do you keep tenacity? How do you keep that big picture? This is what I want to do without getting into despair. I mean, despair must come sometimes. Or can I make this?
Well, you're
Or-
just getting started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because in a way that can work in sort of two levels. You can talk about failure in your career, failure even just on stage.
It can
and
happen
that's-
that night.
yeah.
You can bomb.
And one thing is interesting is with improv, it's sort of like this is the famous Bob Ross quote: "There are no accidents, only happy mistakes."
Absolutely.
And in improv, that's totally true. There are times when you'll go out and be like, okay, you'll start playing a character, your scene partner will come on and say something that totally throws you off. But then if you go with it and you incorporate that in, that can be some of the
gold.
funniest stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And even with sketch, that's great too, because sometimes you'll have the script, you'll think, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen, but sometimes a prop doesn't show
Absolutely.
up.
Or something doesn't work, or an actor forgets his
a
cue.
line, and you go with it, and so that's where improv supplements sketch comedy, even though it's not a big part of it. It's it has that time when it can come in. You can say, okay, what can we do here? Even any kind of acting, you can work improv in little ways.
No question about it.
That's a very
big believer in it. Big believer.
It's a very positive way. Everything that's a very positive, almost affirmation how to deal with things. What about yourself though? You had to you raised your kid, went off to a different career. How do you keep your motivation? How do you keep your zeitgeist, if we want to call it, your artistic ambitions?
Well, I think after a while you realize that you're not going to be exactly where you want to be. There are things I'm still working on. I'm currently working on a children's book called The Cat Who Loved Whitefish Salad.
Okay.
I'm also trying to write a play about my childhood, but it's very difficult because my childhood was very difficult.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. But I'm just thrilled that Andrew so far in Chicago is doing so well.
That's great.
And he has a new job coming up, which will be the history side.
In the final 2 minutes, could you give your bona fides, any websites you want to go to and everything in the final 2 minutes we have?
Oh, yeah. So I'll give a shout out to the new improv group that I'm in now. I just got in and I just had my first show with them 2 nights ago called Random Fandom.
Good for you.
We perform. Thank you. Perform around Chicago.
Website? How can you be seen?
There's Facebook, Twitter, different social media accounts, and yeah.
And your dad?
Well, my next, other than the fact that Andrew and I will be crossing the Delaware on Christmas, on January 6th, we'll be doing the 56th annual Colonel Hand Historic March at 10 o'clock at the Lawrence Township Municipal Building. And then on March 10th, we're doing it a little early. That will be the Princeton's annual Pie Day celebration all around Princeton.
And yours truly will be at the pie eating contest. I'm seeing it. And you go to Patriot Genius, which I can't spell, so I'm not a genius.com, and you can find out all about you. And have I been a good person? These are very serious people. They're talented.
Yeah, this is probably the best interview you've done in a long time.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, I want to thank you very much.
You weren't condescending. You weren't rude. For the most part.
Fuck you. No, anyway,
see what I mean?
Anyway, and when you get really famous, you have to give me a job. Because you have a triple threat.
Well, come back and do an interview.
I'll come back.
I don't know what we can do for you.
Somebody will finally watch the show.
Well, and with that, thank you, the Agress.
Agress.
Fine. We'll be right
back. Like a-hole. Hi, Jody Wood. We're back. I wanted to bring some of our improv actors from the JW Actors Studio program on to do some of the stuff we've been working on and practicing. And so we're going to do a little improv for you. All right. So this is Ed Liu, Serena Jane, and Tim Ginther.
Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Tim plays Robert Downey Jr. Plays him really well. We're going to do a game called Gibberish Interview. In this exercise, Serena is going to play a person that speaks only in gibberish, and she's being interviewed by Ed. And Tim is a talk show host, and he's going to ask her some questions. And Serena's being interviewed because she is the first female to go to the moon. Okay, so whenever show would have a person like that on, welcome us to the show and ask her some questions.
Hello, Serena. Welcome to the show. Could you tell me how long it took you to get to the moon and how you got there?
So the trip took several weeks, and it is an invention of her own. It is, and actually, it's a rocket powered by a waterfall.
Really?
Yes,
Wow. I didn't know they had those.
it is. It is a device of her own invention.
And how long did it take you to get there?
So launch took approximately a week because it takes a while for the water to power the rocket. Achieving escape velocity was fairly quick, and then after that, it was a 12-day trip to get from the Earth to the Moon.
And when you got there, what did you find? Was it full of craters? Was there any cheese or a man or anything?
이거 아마디기리 하마디기 재미기리비리 잡아라 비바라비교 아르고하.
Yep, 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 yep. Yeah.
So the moon is not actually made of cheese. It's really more like I think fondant.
So my mother lied to me all these years.
You won't know until you get there. But so yes, essentially the moon is like a gigantic cake that is covered in very high end frosting, which also happens to make a very nice skin lotion, which is why her skin looks as good as it does.
Yes, I noticed. Now Neil Armstrong or whoever the first man was that landed on the moon says is one small step for mankind, one giant step for mankind. So what would the first woman say?
이거는 Neil Armstrong 아마 하기 힘들다 이제 우 아마 내가 악 아가 위기 아가가 이누 하바 되게 그거다.
Oh. Oh. Was it
So, somewhat embarrassingly, the first thing that she said when she stepped onto the moon was, I wish I had spent a little less time on the waterfall-powered rocket and a little more time on an air tank, because there is no atmosphere on the moon. So she stepped out of the rocket and discovered that she couldn't breathe. Final
Wow.
question.
And how long did it take you to get back, and what did you see on your way back?
이거 하늘이 아마라비리기리 아마라비리기리 힘이 하마라가. Okay. So coming back, she actually saw it wasn't. It was a comet, which actually was producing musical tones as it went through space, which is very unusual because
That's
there is no
very
air
odd.
in space. It's very hard for sound to transmit.
Yes.
But it was such that it allowed her to sleep for the entire road back, just like
Oh,
when you fall asleep on a
awesome.
plane.
And then they got you out of the ocean, picked you out of the ocean? Okay.
누가 알아 하늘이 울어서?
Sí.
Yes. So yes, there was a rescue submarine which picked up her capsule and brought her back to the base where she
I
was
think
safety.
I kind of remember seeing that on TV. Wasn't there a parade then in New York? Yeah.
Yes,
I understand that.
she quite enjoyed the parade. Yes.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Good show, guys. We're going to do another game for you now. It's called Adjustments or New Choice. In this situation, we're going to have Ed and Serena are going to be a young couple deeply in love, and they want to get married, but they need the blessing of Serena's dad, who is a very, very stubborn man and is not very reasonable, but somehow can be wooed or swayed because of his love for his daughter. But he's really very particular about who his daughter is going to be with, okay? And I'm going to stop you and give you a new adjustment to play in the scene. You keep playing the scene just with that adjustment added to it. Okay? It's not about the adjustment. It's just that it's in there, continuing the scene in that way, as if you're drunk or whatever. Okay? So when you guys just begin, you're sitting down with Dad, and take it away.
Dad, I, you know Ed. I mean,
Oh, kinda.
He's so great, Dad.
I'm pleased to meet you, sir.
Well, we met several times already.
Oh, Dad, come on, really.
I'm pleased to meet you again, sir.
Yes, I think you just said that.
I'm very pleased to meet you, sir.
Well, I wish I could say the same, but you know, my daughter means everything to me, and frankly, I think she could do a little better.
Ed, tell him about your scientific thing that you're working on. Tell him about that.
I know you're pleased to meet me. Can you like
tell him about that project that you know, those mixtures, and tell him.
Oh, yeah.
Your concoction.
Me and some of the guys in our chemistry lab, we are inventing things to it simulates human excrement for the military.
Yes.
Now, how in the hell are you going to make enough money to support my daughter with
Oh, Dad.
a job
Military
like that?
contract, sir.
Oh, well, that
It
makes
can
sense.
be quite lucrative.
Freeze.
Okay.
Now continue the scene, same way, but now you're stoned out of your mind.
Dad, I mean, I have a job too, okay? I can roll a really fast one. And he doesn't have to be the only one working, Dad. I can make a lot of money doing
Where
that.
did you say you work?
Did you hear me?
I was paying attention to him.
I'm so
Dad.
pleased to meet you, sir.
Oh,
You got
nice to meet
anything
you.
to eat?
Did we ever meet? Did we meet
I
at
got
all before? You look
Pretzel store in the
familiar.
car, babe.
You look familiar.
Oh, man.
We got chocolate covered.
Oh,
Go get him.
You seem
I
like a
got-
nice
oh,
guy. Why don't you
yeah.
marry my daughter?
Oh, dude. That would like
Freeze.
Did you
Continue
hear
the
what
scene. Continue the scene, but now you're all depressed.
I don't know why he wants to do this, Dad.
I don't blame him. I don't know why anybody would want to, you know, do anything.
I mean, he's gonna take me away.
It's
I'm so ready to conquer the world of simulated excrement for the military, and I just can't get out of bed.
Freeze. You're all very paranoid.
What's that? Who was that?
I don't know if you really love me. Do you?
I don't
Does
know
he-
that you appreciate me.
I
I
think
think you're trying
You're
to
just
steal.
lying.
You're trying to steal
You
my.
just want to lie. All you do is lie.
You're trying
fucking
to
liar.
steal
He's
my
lying.
simulated excrement for the Russians.
you're trying to
Aren't
get
you?
my money, aren't
He
you?
doesn't really love me.
You're trying to get my money, aren't you?
Why? Why would you say something like that?
You don't believe me.
I
You
don't.
trying to?
You're both out to steal from
You
me.
told me.
You're both out to
promised.
steal my invention, aren't you? You're gonna get it
You
for the Russians.
promised.
You want it for the Martians, don't you?
I'm more
Freeze!
interested in
Freeze. You all
pee.
think one another are ghosts without saying it.
Where's my camera when I need a picture of a ghost?
Oh.
Are you
Go into the
friendly?
light.
Are you a
It's
friendly
okay.
person?
That's-
Are you
I'm-
friendly or
I'm very friendly. I
Mm.
wouldn't want to harm. So,
can you?
is there something unfinished?
Now, when you get
Do
to
you
a
have
door,
something
do you
you would-
walk through it or
Would
do
you
you
like-
Freeze.
open it?
Everything disgusts you. Almost makes you want to vomit, no matter what's being said.
Your dad is such a square.
Did you shower today?
Oh man.
Jesus Christ.
I work in a lab that makes simulated
Excrement.
excrement. You don't.
Ugh.
And what did you do with your hair this morning? Ah, and I can't believe you
What's wrong
wore
with
that
my
to meet
hair?
your dad. What?
You got a lot of gas.
Do you need your diapers changed or something?
Just
You guys
How
are
many-
gross.
How many times do I have to
Yeah.
tell you to shower?
Breeze, everything is said. You all think it's a lie, no matter what's being said.
I just went for a jog today.
You-
5 miles, a
you did
personal
not.
limit.
You did what? Yeah,
I
right.
did, that's for
You
sure.
went jogging to
I-
get something to eat.
Well, I lost 5 pounds.
You didn't
How do you
lose shit.
explain that?
You're lying.
You know,
No
it's
way.
if it weren't for jogging.
No. Those are your fat pants.
Well, that's
Fat,
but I'm
fat.
skinny.
Those are with the spot. Those are your
But
fat
yeah,
pants.
they're my fat pants, but I'm skinny underneath
Where are
it.
your skinny pants?
It's okay. You can say you were jogging.
Yeah,
All right.
well,
We know.
I don't think you do.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you believe me.
Show
But-
us how you jog.
Well,
Breeze, now we're going to end it. You're angry as hell.
God damn it, there's no way in hell you're marrying my daughter. Not
Dad!
some kind of pussy like
Stop
you.
being an asshole.
I don't care what they say.
Why are
I
you
am
talking
totally
to my
not
dad?
pleased to be meeting you!
Ah, the
You
same
don't
goes for
talk to
you.
my father like that.
He's not going to talk to me like that.
way!
Why are you talking to me like
Talk
that?
to my father like
What's
that.
wrong with you, too?
What
You
do
are
you
always a
mean? I don't
disappointment.
want anyone talking to
I
you
can't
like
believe
that.
How can you
either
bring
of
some
you.
shit?
Thank you.
Stop it.
All right, good job. Good job. Very nice. All right, we're going to move along now. We're going to do a game called Last Letter, First Letter. So this situation is, if we could have you two guys stand up, we're going to have you do a scene together. The situation is you are his daughter's school teacher, and you're coming in there to complain because the teacher is always, your daughter's always complaining the teacher's mean to her, and she's been giving her bad grades, and you know your daughter's better than that. And you're coming in to see what's going on. But you may start falling in love with her. Okay? And what we're going to do is we'll start the scene, and the next sentence has to begin with the last letter of the sentence that your partner said. So we're really got to be listening and focused. Okay? So if I would say, let's go to the store, the next line would begin with the letter E,
Okay.
which happens quite often in this exercise, actually, as you know. All right. And you just happen to be there. You're the principal that never leaves the room. Here we go.
Mrs. Johnson, I'm so glad we could meet.
Mr.
And
Anderson.
T. We meet.
Tim Anderson. A pleasure. The pleasure's mine.
Thank you so much.
E.
Every opportunity I have to meet with my daughter's teachers, I will take it.
Time is of the essence. So, what is it that we need to discuss?
So my daughter is very a little upset. She feels that she's not getting a fair shake in your class.
So, Sally, your daughter is Sally.
Yeah.
She is really quiet and doesn't really raise her hand. You know, I mean,
No, she can be not as assertive, certainly, but I think that she's very bright. She clearly understands the material, judging by her homework. I don't think that she's being judged fairly.
yes, because she doesn't really raise her hand. She doesn't participate. It's not easy to judge her. I don't hear from her. She just kind of, you have to see what she's like in class. You should observe her. Observe her.
Really? Oh, okay. How long have you been teaching?
Gosh, 15 years.
Seriously?
Yes.
So I imagine you've seen a lot of students over the years.
So many. So many. And, I just love this job. I do. I love these kids. And I care about them.
Many times I know my daughter likes your class a lot, and I can understand why.
Yes. I can too. I mean, all of the students in the class, they love being here. We have a great time. We're doing a lot of learning. And she should, we should just encourage her to participate. And I think you'll be happy with the results.
Stupendous advice, really. I'm so happy to. I think we should arrange for regular meetings to discuss Sally's progress in your class, if that's all right.
Thank you very much. Good job. Very good. Have a seat. Have a seat. I want you all to participate in this scene called First Line, Last Line. And I think you know this pretty well. The three of you are going to participate in a scene. We're not going to give you the scenario. I'm just going to give you 2 lines. The opening line and the closing line, you got to fill in the middle somehow and get there together. The first line is, wait, what about my trust fund? And the last line is, mine's a large one. That's how it works. Wait, what about my trust fund is the first line. Anybody can say it. We just go with it. And the last line has to be, mine's a large one. Here we go.
Wait, what about my trust fund?
Don't you worry about your trust fund. It'll be just fine. The stock market's up. Investment's good. We got Trump in the
Honey,
White House.
it'll be okay. Your dad and I, we really are concerned, and we will take care of it, honey. Okay?
But I'm very, very concerned about the finance. It's just so. I mean, that's my livelihood, my future.
Well, you
In
just
your
need to get a
hands.
good
You see
financial
this
advisor, and
he knows what he's doing.
yes,
Okay, he does know.
yeah. So I have
What are you
I
talking
used
about,
to have the
financial
same
advisor?
issues, and I got a good financial advisor, and I just don't worry about it anymore.
But Dad, what about the factory?
The
That
factory is doing well. Everything's going well. We're getting a nice tax bump from our great president.
Oh, he's making it great. He really
And
is.
so,
Great.
I don't think you should worry about it. Everything's going up. That's the only direction it's going in.
Up, high,
going up.
up.
Yes.
Up.
So don't worry about anything going down. It never goes down.
Like the
not
roof,
down.
like the roof of the factory when you had that rather large industrial accident that decimated the place.
Yeah, kind of like that, except
It was in
not
the
at all.
news.
It wasn't bad.
No, that was child's play compared to
some of
managing.
the other things that your dad has done.
14 people were killed in that accident.
Yeah,
Well,
but I wasn't
I
found
mean,
liable, so
Right. We
that
still have your fund. We still have that.
But where are you getting the money from?
Oh, well, he's got a lot of things going on.
it's off seas, some of it, and in other trust funds.
Is this another currency?
Listen, really, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to worry about your trust fund. And it's really doing pretty well.
How are you doing anyway? How is your life? How's that girl?
She's fine. She's she's always That's actually why I'm asking. I would really like to have a wedding. I would like to marry her.
Oh!
And
No!
I would like to make sure that our.
Did you hear that?
That's wonderful
I
news.
would like to, but I would really like
That's
to make sure
awesome.
that
Why didn't you tell us
What
earlier?
was her name again?
Susan. You remember Susan? Lovely girl.
I thought
Lovely.
her name
No, she was.
That
the
was
one
the
before
previous
her.
one, yes.
was.
Actually,
I remember
before-
Rebecca. I wish you
before-
would have
before
married
Susan.
her, actually.
Right! Rebecca
She was
was
a little
so
bit nicer.
tall and
Yes, Rebecca.
But she dumped you, didn't she?
she
As
had
I
that
remember.
beautiful
No.
accent.
Yes, from Indonesia, but
Yes.
no. It turns out that was that. I don't think I ever told you that she was looking for a green card.
Oh,
So
why do you get mixed up with people like this?
Oh, I also think she was a little disappointed
Oh,
in the, monkey business stuff.
oh gosh, yes. And Susan, it's Susan, right?
Susan now, yes, I
Susan,
would like to.
okay.
She's the one.
Would
I
you
know
bring her
she's
over
the
for
one.
dinner? Bring her over, or we can meet.
Can we? Yes, but about the trust fund. What?
Well,
I
where
mean-
do you want your wedding to take place, honey? What would you like? I mean, why are you so concerned?
Italy, of course.
Oh, well, your dad will
That-
take care of that,
Yeah,
right, Dad?
I have all kinds of connections in Italy.
Yes!
Some in
Oh,
the
yes.
mafia.
Uh-huh.
You know,
And,
good.
and can we have a you know, a big enough wedding?
Oh, I
Will
got
it be-
I got people that have estates over there.
Just make a call, honey. Make a call.
Yes, I'll make a
Yes,
call.
we
Don't
will
worry
do-
about it.
You don't have
Now
to
it's
worry
not
about
going to be
anything.
cheap,
I will
and you
take
might
care of
be
all of
indebted
it.
to some
And I
people.
will-
You know, you might they
Indebted.
might expect you to
Indebted.
Well,
pay
see,
them
this is why
back.
I'm asking about the
Indebted.
trust fund. I want to
Why
make
would
sure
he be
that I can-
indebted?
I can
These people
repay
you
them.
don't like. They don't do favors for you
We are
unless
setting him
you
up for his life, honey.
do
Him and
favors
Susan.
for them. So, you know. Anyway, don't worry about the trust fund. The trust fund is doing just fine, and
As long as we can make it a big one.
That's close enough.
I forgot it.
Mine's a big one.
Mine's
Happens-
a big one.
happens
I'm
a
sorry,
lot.
I totally
You're
forgot the
going along,
last
you're going
line.
along. Happens all the time.
I forgot
Happens a
that.
lot. It's very funny to watch sometimes. Like, well, you guys are drifting away here. Let's get to it. Very fun. All right. I'd like to do a new exercise called slideshow. This is where you're going to do a presentation, Ed,
Okay.
on the dangers of drugs. And I will participate in this. The three of us are going to be the slides. We're going to just pose in different poses, and you have to make some kind of sense of what we're doing as it relates to the dangers of drugs. Now, not all three of us have to be in every slide.
Are we talking at all?
Nope, we
Okay.
just
So am I giving? Am
You're
I
talking to
saying
the
what
audience.
the slideshow is, or are
No.
you guys?
One
You
slide
guys
at a
get up
time.
on stage and do
we're going to
something.
wait. You're going to start your presentation to the audience
Okay.
on the dangers of doing drugs. We're going to be here, and when you say next slide, first slide, please. We're going to get into some
You
kind of
guys jump
pose.
up and I
you
have to
say,
come
now
up with
this is the next slide, please. We'll do
Okay.
just a few
Is there an
slides.
order, or can we just?
No, whatever we
Sounds
want to do.
good. All right.
All right, so this is your
Alrighty.
show, and you're going to do a presentation on the dangers of drugs, and we would probably want to do this on our feet.
Hello, I'm Dr. Benjamin Lee. I would like to welcome you all. We are going to be discussing the dangers of drugs. I know all of you kids out here in high school are curious about this sort of stuff. I want to make sure that you guys are out there and informed. First slide, please. So we've got some instances of severe muscular damage that can happen to people with drugs. In some cases, your hands will lock up into a specific stance. It looks like you're speaking into a microphone. We call this microphonitis. Next slide, please. And in this case, we've got somebody who has been so severely affected by the drugs that she is willing to drink out of rain spouts. While our friend over here has thoroughly lost so many contact lenses that he's just perpetually bent over looking for them. Next slide, please. So there are many, many, many biological functions which you will lose control of when you are on drugs. You may lose control of your bowels. You may lose control of your gastrointestinal system, which is otherwise known as projectile vomiting. You could also lose control of your fingers and punch your forearm repeatedly.
So welcome back here on What's Trending with Raya, only here on Breezing with Bierman, and Happy New Year to everyone. So we have cool stuff for you for this new year, 2018. So let's start with our first one. So if you have a pet, chances are you love them so much and you hate leaving them in the house. So this product is a camera. It's called PetCube Play. So it features a camera that lets you view your pet in real time. It has also a two-way audio system so you can communicate, talk, and your dogs can hear you. And what's so good about this one, it has a laser pointer that you can schedule a playtime or, and you can use your smartphone when you are playing with your pets. So grab all of this. They have 3 different finishes. Make sure you go check out on Chewy or Amazon.com. Next one. So whether you love cold weather or not, the change in season is very dramatic and also very good when it comes to fashion. So this time of the year, you want to be cozy, you want to be warm. These slippers from Fuzzy Baba are just the thing. So they are ballerina shaped with elastic that keeps your feet really snugged in. And plus, it has a soft foam bottom that makes it so comfortable. So there are more styles than this one. So make sure you visit them. Hit me up on my Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook and grab 30% off on any pairs right now. Next one. So this one, oh God, like I always hit my snooze button when I am hearing my alarm clock. So my entire life I've been doing that. So I've tried many advices and tips to not do that or break that habit, but I always fail. So this product, it lets you, it's called Ruggy. So it lets you, it is an alarm clock in a mat. So the alarm does not turn off until you really stand on it. So making sure that you are going to really get up from bed. It's not just like you can reach it or tap it. You have to stand on it. So that Ruggy, because you know, sleep expert says that hitting the snooze makes you feel more groggy during the day. It hurts your decision making and also your overall performance. So it confuses your sleep cycle. So Ruggy can help you with those problems. Next one. So I love this website. So this website takes ordinary dresses, rompers into something unique. They always have a unique take on it. So the company is Ali and J. They're my new love because they have long and short dresses, rompers, two-pieces sets, and more. And they always do something quirky and something more beautiful than usual. So this dress, the After Dark My Sweet Maxi, it has sequins that looks like a feather. So if you like dramatic fashion style, you make sure that you check out Ali and J. And if you hit up, like right now, you hit up in their website and you will get 25% discount by using a code that you can get when you reach out to my Snapchat, Twitter, or Facebook. So save money and check out Ali and J. And our last one, is this journal. So it is also very easy to feel overstressed, pessimistic. And for 2018, if you're convinced your life completely sucks, you're going to find evidence every day. It's just nature. So you're focusing on negativity, you will be driven to negativity. So I love this journal because it's a series of lists that you will fill out on various topics. Those topics includes list the happiest people you know, or list the things that gets you out of your head, or list the things that you like to do that don't involve technology. So whenever you come up with one, you just add to the list. Then maybe when you're feeling down and you're super sad, so you can find the appropriate list that can make you remember that a lot of good things are happening really in your life. So I keep this book on my nightstand because it does not hurt. It's really pretty and it's very Instagrammable or Snapchatty. So those are our 5 items for January for Welcome to the New Year. Make sure you hit me up at Twitter at Raya Arbiol, Snapchat and Instagram at Raya Mish. That has been What's Trending with Raya, your New Year's edition. Baba Booey to all.